Hello. I'm going to move this a little closer. Okay. I will give it a minute. All right. Hello, everybody. How are you? It is a beautiful Monday evening in Chicago. And we had, although very humid day, I will take the heat over the cold any day. So I am not complaining. First of all, I want to say thank you for joining me. I feel so blessed. And thank you all for everyone who has watched the new show, Your Soul Wisdom. It is right on my YouTube channel. It is such a joy for me to be able to um, put on the show. I love it. The women on there are fantastic. We just love getting together and talking about all those things spiritual. And we're actually going to do a dowsing rod episode. So if you have any questions that you would like the dowsing rods to answer, go ahead and you could leave it below in the comments or send me an email. All the information is in the links below. So what I want to do, hello everybody. Hi Genesis. Hi Aparna. Shri. Hi Shri. Okay, so I do have a bunch of questions that I received ahead of time. And if anything else comes up on the chat, I will definitely go ahead and answer them. So let me just pull up the ones and kind of get into it. Okay. Here we go. First question. In my chart, I have the ability to connect with abundance to serve others. How do I connect with it? Right now, I am stuck on that part. I keep encountering mean male bosses who take the money aspect away from me, making it impossible to help the people who reach out to me, poor and sick people. Okay, wow. Okay. First, without being able to see your chart, I really can't fully answer that. However, just reading that statement, I already feel like there's possibly a 3 in there, a 4 energy, maybe a 13-4 since you want to help the needy. Also that male aspect with the mean male bosses. Maybe you've got a 10-1 or a 9-9 frequency that attracts all that to you. And so what happens with the abundance aspect is that you really have to have faith, you have to have trust, and you have to have self-worth. When you have that self-worth is knowing I am worthy to receive. I am worthy to have everything that I want. And when you actually step into that space, you're shifting the energy around you. You're shifting what's coming through to you. And now you're telling the universe that you're open to receiving. And I think what happens is, especially if there is a 10-1 in your chart, women with a 10-1 in their chart, I find that mostly they will sit in their masculine energy. And the thing is, when we sit in our masculine energy, because I also have a 10-1, and by the way, Genesis, that 10-1, my soul destiny is a 10-1. That 10-1 is that Virgo energy. It's the 10. And so that 10-1, when women have it in their chart, they usually sit in their masculine and they're doers and they're leaders. And they're like, you know what? I know the right way to do it. Let me just do it myself. I'll get it done. They criticize, they judge themselves and others. It's part of like that challenge aspect of the frequency. But when we sit in our masculine, we're actually doing and we're telling the universe that we got everything we need, we'll take care of it. And we're technically not open to receiving. And so it's really important to be conscious of, okay, am I working? I can sit in my masculine, I can get things done and I can produce. The 10-1s have excellent work ethic. However, if you are in your personal life and in relationships in that kind of way, you want to sit in that feminine. You want to be able to be open to receiving. And when we are open to receiving, then the universe will say, you got it. You can have it. You can have it. But you have to sit in that self-worth. You have to sit in that trust and in that faith Now, when you talk about that money aspect in this question, that's where I question if you have a three energy anywhere in your chart, because the threes have a really tough time asking for the financial compensation that they believe they have earned or deserve. So essentially, it's like the threes, they may feel like I'm just going to throw out a number, they're worth $100,000 a year, but they will be offered $70,000 a year. And because they want a job and are scared to fight for more money, they will accept lesser. And that is part of that self worth. If you really feel you are worth more, ask for it. Ask for it or put it out into the universe. I want exactly what I am worth. And maybe a new job will appear or something. And I'm not saying leave your job. I'm not saying burn it down to the ground. I'm just saying when we step into our self worth, the universe shows up for us. The other word that you use was stuck. That stuck energy is that sixth frequency. So I wonder if that is also in your chart. And so the sixth frequency, they feel stuck in life when it's that challenge aspect. They feel stuck. They feel like they're procrastinating. They feel like they can't get anything done. It's very unfocused, very not disciplined kind of energy. And so, if you do have that in your chart, I guess what I'm trying to say to you is get creative. Do something that uses creativity, that maybe moves your body, use your voice, sing, dance, draw, whatever it is. Do something of that nature to help break that stuck energy. And it should really create a different environment for you. Okay. Hello, everybody. Um, okay. 33. Oh, that's, you mean you have a 3-3 spiritual karma, Genesis? Yes. I see. So you also lowballed yourself when you came to work. Oh, in your legal status. I got it. Um, don't quit pursuing your dream. Let me tell you something. Everything is divine timing, right? And I know this falls a little bit out of soul contracts, maybe, maybe not, but everything is divine timing. So trust that you are exactly where you are meant to be right now, Genesis, and know that the threes really want you to also sit in your joy. Find and start doing the thing that brings you joy, because that will also bring you your abundance. But remember, it's that self-worth. And you may not have been able to do, your pursue your nursing dream, but you'll get there. It doesn't mean you can never do it. Maybe the timing was off. But just give yourself grace, figure out what it is that you want to do and how to move forward, and sit in that receiving space. Tell the universe you're open to receive the things to get you to where you want to be. And then just pay attention to what comes your way. Okay. Hello, Rachel. How can you tell when you're experiencing the 14-5 vibe? Great question. So, the 14-5, it's this beautiful reflective energy. It's very intense and it creates intense relationships. And it's almost like that mirror, it's like a mirroring. You mirror to others aspects of themselves that potentially they don't want to see, and they're mirroring it to you. And I actually have somebody really close in my life where I swear everything I say to her, I'll say, I'm experiencing this or I'm experiencing that. And she'll say, oh my God, me too. And so we reflect a lot on each other. And that's how that shows up. And so it also comes with that 5 Aries frequency. It's about speaking the truth. And also, just so you know, the 14-5s, the 14s, there's a lot of codependency that goes on there. So it's very important to step into that 5 frequency and be um, a leader, be someone who stands on their own. It's beautiful to have relationships in your life. Just don't let that codependency factor kind of take over, right? Because we are our own humans. But that 14-5, I absolutely love it. It's wonderful. It's amazing. Okay. Hi, Raquel. Hi, Divine Evolution. Hi, hi. I have a 9 karma. What does that mean? Raquel, you too, 9-9 on both of your karmic placements. Okay, first I want to say this, regardless of the frequency that you have, let me take that back. Regardless of the placement of a frequency in your chart, you are still going to feel some of that challenge aspect and the positive aspect. It just depends on where you're at in your journey in life, in your spirituality, in your on your spiritual path, right? So all numbers are positive and they all have challenge. So it's just the beauty of where you're at. So the 9-9 karmic aspect that can show up um, with lots of disempowerment. Maybe you experienced disempowerment when you were younger. Maybe you felt that maybe from your parents, maybe both parents, other colleagues, other children, teachers, bosses. It almost feels like a constant disempowerment that could sometimes show up with some type of abuse as well, just depending on the extremity of it. But that disempowerment is actually meant for you to step into your power. And the 9 is the most powerful energy in the soul contract work, right? That is what we're told and that's what we learn. And the thing is, when you have powerful energies like the 7-7, the 9-9, the 10-1, you're probably going to experience some challenging things because in order for you to really step into that power, you have to be disempowered. And I know that may sound crazy, but we are living this life. That's just how it goes. That's just how it shows up sometimes. And so it is important to, when you feel that disempowerment, and maybe you attract narcissists in your life as well, when you feel that, it's really important to step into that self love and say, you know what? I do not tolerate this and claim your power back. Maybe that means leaving a relationship, a job, time away from family sometimes. But the thing is, too, on that flip side, those 9s, they're very blunt, they're very direct, and they have so much energy. So sometimes I wonder if you'll notice where you're not very approachable, although you're like, why don't people ever approach me? And it is because the 9s are so powerful that people feel that energy and they're intimidated. And also because the 9s are so powerful, sometimes the words that come out could be cutting, could make somebody feel like, whoa, calm down. And you're over here and you're like, I am calm. I'm just so excited and I'm sharing this thing. But it's just so much energy that comes out and people feel it. And sometimes it's too much for people. And you know what? That's okay. Okay. I hope that answers your question. Destiny, will you experience disempowered all this lifetime? No. So again, with each frequency, let's take the 9 for example. It comes with that disempowerment, but the disempowerment will be a thing for as long as you allow it to be. And I mean that with all the love and grace because there are times in our lives where we clearly realize that we are being disempowered, maybe abused mentally, physically, financially, whatever that could be. And sometimes we just don't have the strength or the resources or the will to leave. And it may take a little bit of time. But the thing is, eventually you will step into your power. You will claim back who you are and be your own person, your own cheerleader, your own everything. And the beauty of that is when you step into that power, the next time somebody tries to disempower you, you will catch it that much quicker. And then it's up to you to say, no, thank you. I do not allow that into my life. So, no, you will not forever be disempowered. And the beauty of each of these frequencies is while, yes, there is a challenge aspect, the more you are on your spiritual path, your spiritual growth, evolving with who you are, really doing that healing work, the less the challenge aspect is going to show up or be challenging. Now, also remember the 9s, they are excellent healers, they're excellent channelers. So connect to source, get your information, step into your power, and share that with people. So I hope that's helpful. I've read the Soul Contract Decoded last week and I've ended up here. Hi, Mafu. I'm a little confused with all this information. That is okay. I do have the breakdown of each frequency in each placement on my YouTube channel. So at your own leisure, look at your chart and then just go one by one and really just soak it in a little bit at a time. I think it's really important to remember that our soul contract, you guys, is not something that is meant to bind us in. Like, this is it. I have said from the beginning, use it as a guide when you need it, but do not let it define your life. It's just like astrology and just like every other modality, whatever it is. You want the information, receive it, take it in. I encourage it. It's a great tool to have, but don't allow it to dictate every step of your life. You are your own sovereign being and you can create your own life. So always hold true to what feels right for you. So, there. Okay, let me get to some other questions here. Okay, my son loves animals. The way he connects with them, I have never seen anyone like that before. Does that show up on his chart? Again, I don't see his chart. However, animals and nature is very much connected to the 8 frequency. When somebody has that frequency in their chart, they love animals. So, for example, my daughter, she's an 8/8 soul destiny. And when there is a present dog or pet or a turtle or a cat, whatever it is, she has to physically connect with it. She wants to pet it. And God forbid there is a dog that she is not allowed to pet. She gets so upset. The way she connects with it, eights want to connect with nature. It's like nurturing to them. Water is fantastic, right? Because 8 is also that Cancer energy in astrology, which is which is all about water. It's emotions. And so eights really need to ground, and pets and nature really help somebody ground. So if your son loves that, he almost definitely somewhere in his chart, maybe his first name, last name, wherever it is in the spelling, he's got to have that 8 frequency. And I would nurture that. I would very much nurture that. Okay. Oh, let's see. Sounds like me right now. Got it. Okay. Are there foundational ideas to understand about why certain numbers keep appearing? Okay, so that's a great question, and I actually get that a lot. And so I always like I'll have people who are say, "Well, what's this dominant vibration?" A dominant vibration is when you have 4 or more of the same frequency in your chart, in your soul contract chart. And what that means is if you have, let's say, in 3 different placements, you have all sevens, 7 7 7 7 7 7. That would make the 7 frequency a dominant vibration. And when you have a lot of that same frequency showing up, that's a theme. And spirit really needs you to pay attention to that. It's like extra focus on resolving whatever that challenge aspect is of that frequency. And again, even if you, let's say you had those double sevens, if you had them in both talent positions, there's still that underlying challenge there. Just because a frequency is in a talent position does not mean that you are in the positive aspect naturally of that frequency. You may still experience the challenge. And so, one example I will use is I have 3 3s in both of my talent positions, right? So I share from the depths of my soul. I like talking. I like using my words. I love singing. Those are all 3 qualities. And it's also very much connected to self-worth. We talked about that in the beginning. And so if you had asked me any day of my life where my self-worth is, I would have always said to you, it's a 10. I am worthy of everything. And then one time it was I was receiving a divine healing session by beautiful Lauren Calvert, who is on Your Soul Wisdom episodes with me. Okay, she's fantastic, you guys. And so I was receiving a treatment with her, and she brought up my self worth, and she said, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you say that is? And I wanted to verbalize and say, well, it's at a 10. And I couldn't get the words out, and I just had a little bit of a cry, and I didn't understand it. But what I realized was, and it was a perfect example of this, just because we're not aware of something, we don't know what's underneath the surface. And sometimes we have to do the work and we have to do the healing and put in the effort to really see and understand if we've really healed stuff. And I will say through that, it really helped me move past whatever self-worth issues I had. And essentially it changed my life. I mean, it was that powerful. So, Hi says, I notice that my family and I have similar numbers in our charts. Do you find that often when doing readings? That's interesting because for the most part, I do find that families have a general theme that goes across each family member. Maybe sometimes a theme is more than one. So maybe they all have sevens or they all have nines or well, one of the interesting ones are always the ones that have the placements and frequencies of last physical incarnations, right? Or incarnation cycles. And it's always interesting that almost every single person, if not every person of that family group, will have that somewhere in their chart. And it always cracks me up. And sometimes there'll be like one family member who doesn't have a last incarnation cycle energy. And I'm like, don't worry, we travel in soul groups, everything will be okay. But that's just our human self coming up. So great question. Yes, there generally is a theme that plays out throughout families. And I'm sure if you even think about your family right now, you can kind of see um a general theme of what typically plays out. And the thing that typically plays out is usually the place where we all need to work on. And I'll say this with children. So if there are parents who have children, almost always when I look at their chart, the child's chart, the child will always have energies, the same frequencies of the parents' karmic placements. So our children generally come in trying to clean up whatever we still haven't figured out, whatever we still haven't processed or worked through or healed. And our children will bring that energy in. And honestly, the beauty of that is that it really encourages the parent to step into their own healing. Like, you know what? I don't want my child to have to go through the same thing I did or experience the same thing I did. And so it really is encouraging when you have a parent that's awakened and that wants to do the work. It really helps transmute their karma, which helps the child then transmute their challenges even quicker. So it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. Um, okay. What do we have here? Um, how can you see that a past life death was by suicide? Okay, this is interesting. There is a frequency that is associated with that in the soul contract work. And essentially, the way that that plays out is it's that eight frequency. The eights are believed to not incarnate very often on earth. And so they're also kind of like if you follow Dolores Cannon's work, it's that volunteer energy. They're like the three groups of volunteer or the three waves of volunteers, I believe she calls it. That's what the eights are. And they volunteer, they come down on earth to help raise the earth's vibration, essentially, right? They volunteer to really help make a difference. But the thing is, because I don't incarnate often, again, this is all belief, right? Because I don't incarnate often, it's really challenging for them to stay earthbound, if you will. They feel different, they feel disconnected, they feel like they don't belong. They may feel like they don't have a proper friend group or they're just like part of society but not really part of society, that kind of energy. And it can create depression and it can create those types of feelings where it's like, why am I here? I don't want to do this. And so generally when I do see that eights or a bunch of eights in a chart, that thought of depression, the thought of checking out has been there. And it is really important because that indicates that you got to stay here. You got to finish this mission. There's so much for you to do. And checking out is not an option. So let's figure it out because there's so much beauty and joy in the world. And if we just can connect to it. So for eights, if you're feeling depressed, if you're just feeling disconnected, start grounding yourself. exercise, go for walks, hug a tree, connect with nature, pets, all of that. Do things, cook with real ingredients. All those things will really help you ground yourself and ground that eight energy, which is what you need because you just want to float away. You just want to be up in your head all the time. And so it's really important to connect with your body, to really get into your body and not be disassociated with the body. Okay. So I hope that that answers that question. Let's see. Do soul contracts happen across lifetimes? This is a very interesting question because I know we talk about past lives, but essentially, and this is my belief, it's that we kind of are living all our lives simultaneously at the same time. And I know that's a hard concept to take on because we have this thing called time that we live by. But I do believe that as you um do soul contracts happen across all lifetimes? Yes, but also I do believe that as you heal something or evolve in a certain aspect in this reality, this lifetime, it will also ripple effect across all the other lifetimes. So it's almost like if you up level here, you're also up leveling somewhere else in all your other lives, if that answers that question. Emily, that tracks with your husband. Good. You know what? Ground him, lady. Ground him all the time. He's probably a hopeless romantic too. Those eights are hopeless romantics. Give him that love. Give him that nurturing. It's that Cancer sign of astrology. They're very home. They love home. They want to feel safe and secure in their home. And when they're home, they're like, I can breathe again. So love him and nurture him and all those things. Um, I'm a 13-4 soul destiny, divine feminine, and my daughter is a 10-1 soul destiny. Any meaning behind that? So, what I love about that is that the 13-4 is that divine feminine. It is very mothering, very nurturing. So, I wonder, but it also comes with that mother wound. And then that 10-1 is very powerful, natural healer, service soul, but that comes with a father wound. So I wonder if there is a very special bond between you and your daughter. Maybe because if you've had any challenges with your mother and if she's had challenges with her father, maybe that's something that kind of unites you both even closer. But maybe she's also that child with that 4 frequency that kind of pushes that button. But you just love unconditionally. It's when you have a 4 frequency in your chart and you have a 13-4, your children will be one of your greatest sources of unconditional love. So while that 10-1 maybe isn't directly related, although you're the feminine and the 10-1 is the masculine. So I wonder if that's that perfect yin and yang. But it should be a wonderful relationship and nurture each other. Nurture her. She probably loves that. Although she may push a button or two, and that's okay. um, okay. Do soul contract numbers change over years or even days? Like I done my soul contract yesterday. So if I do it again in 5 years, will the numbers change? No, the numbers will stay the same. The way the frequencies change is through a name change. That is why it is so important. If you go by a nickname, if you change your name, if you get married and change your name, it is really important to look at what type of frequencies are you bringing in. Because when you line up all the different names you've used in your life, so if you're a woman who got married and you changed your name, your last name, what you're doing is you're adding more frequencies on top of the existing ones. And sometimes they could rub the wrong way and they can create friction and a challenge in your life. So it is really important to always be conscious of when you're changing your name and have somebody help you look at it. But what I will say, Mafu, is I always encourage people to reflect back on their chart and on what each frequency means because you're going to get something out of it at different times in your life that's meaningful for you in that moment. So while your contract won't change, the information you receive with it will, if that makes any sense. Emily, he is a hopeless romantic. I love that. He's my kind of guy. My eights are hopeless romantics too. Okay. Do we have positive contracts? Wait, oh, do those we have positive contracts follow us into new lives? Well, I would say positive and or challenging relationships you have with people. It is believed, right, that we travel in these soul groups. And the beautiful analogy that was given to me one time, it was, imagine you're like in this classroom and there's all these rows of people, of souls, and you're saying, "Okay, I want to incarnate and I need someone who's going to sign up to marry me." And the one soul goes, "I'll do that." And then I want someone who's going to break my heart, steal my job, be my child, all of this. And all these souls like volunteer to play these roles in our lives. And so those people are believed, or those souls are believed to be part of your soul group. And the whole point is that we're helping each other evolve by experiencing good things, challenging things, everything in our lives. It's like everyone you interact with, there's a reason. There's a specific reason for that. And oftentimes, this is a hard one. It is said that the people who cause us the biggest heartache are essentially the people who love us the most on the other side. They're our closest soul mates, if you will. And I know that's really hard to take in because I feel you. um, I have felt disconnected from God all my life. Does that show up in my chart? Well, look, I'm sorry that you feel that way. And I hope that that is something that has shifted for you. And you can, if you want to work on that, you can. But yes, there are some frequencies that show a disconnection from source. It could be the 1 1, the 10 1, the 22 4. And the way that shows up is a disconnection from the parents, a disconnection from a masculine in your life, your father, grandfather, that kind of thing. Because the masculine in our life, the father of our life, really also represents our relationship with source. And so, if you've experienced that kind of disconnect within your family, within the male of your family or your relationship, that would also be a disconnection from source. However, the 22/4 frequency is complete disconnection. And so, it is really important to work through the challenging aspects of that frequency to build this really beautiful connection, because we are all able to connect with source. We're all able to have that beautiful relationship. It's just sometimes we have way more work to do than what we think we need to do to get there. And that's okay. Look, I know we talk about soul destiny, but the thing is, our main for this goes for everybody. Our main point in this incarnation, right, is to build and find our way back to source. Mafu, you said you read My Soul Contract Decoded. I think right in that first chapter somewhere, it talks about that. Our main purpose is to find our way back to source. That is essentially our only goal and thing we need to strive for in life. Everything else is just something that helps us get there. Um, so, yes. Let's see. How do soul contracts and friendships overlap? Oh, that's a good question. So I always look I always look at the contracts between me and my friends and like people, important people in my life. And I always share it with them because they love to know it too. But what you'll see is there won't be any conflict in there. And you'll see how you complement each other. Where you're strong and they sometimes need support with, you're able to help them. Maybe you're able to help them ground or make decisions, show love, like different kinds of things. But you see the relationship playing out in a soul contract chart. And then also to add to that, it's really important to remember that, like I think I mentioned in the beginning, regardless of the energies in a chart, even when you see a karmic clash, that doesn't mean that you are doomed and you can never have a friendship, relationship, marriage, whatever it is. All that means is it's a challenge. And so we both have to do the work to heal, and we both have to want to do the work. And if we do that, you can build a beautiful relationship. So it really is up to the two people in every relationship to decide if this is something they want or not. So, um, how do we manage the traumas around our past deaths in our current incarnation? I have a friend who is so afraid of snakes she can barely deal, but has had zero experience with them in our current life. So it's interesting. You're mentioning these past deaths, these past lives, and you're also mentioning the snake. And so the first thing that comes to my mind is the 189. The 189 frequency is very much to do. They're kind of processing a lot of past life stuff, so simultaneous lives, a lot of different life stuff in this present reality. And then the snake, although we talk about the 9 frequency being the dragon, it's also that snake. Okay? So I'm wondering if she has that in her chart. And the thing is, the 189 is really here to make the decision. Are you here to follow the path of the ego, the material world, or are you here to follow the path of source? And so when you really sit with that, when you make a conscious decision. See, this the 189s, it's all about decisions. Every decision for them is a big decision. Where for us, it may be something small or simple, or yes, I can, no problem, I'll decide X, Y, or Z. For them, every decision is big. And so every decision is this the right thing to do? Is this the God inspired thing to do? Or is this the greedy, material, egoic thing to do? So that's going to be a really big predictor on kind of where you're at with that 189 energy. And it's really important to focus on present and allow the past to kind of sit in the past, if you will. Um, so yeah, I'm very curious to know if your friend actually has that 189 because that's what it sounds like. Was the ability to form universal grammar, building blocks for language, a gift from higher intelligence? Well, I guess the answer that I get is of course, because everything comes from source, right? And what's interesting about that is even in the first part of the Bible, right? It is said that God spoke and then everything was created. So meaning everything is created through sound frequency. Everything has a sound, everything has a tone, everything has this frequency around it. And so sound frequencies is energy and that creates. And this makes me think of the word or the phrase abracadabra. Abracadabra actually means I create as I speak. And so it is so important for us to realize that everything we say, we are creating, especially if you got fours in your chart and you're a major manifester. All your thoughts, all your words are manifesting quickly your reality. So if you are speaking negatively, if your glass is half empty, if you're just always a downer, or if you're always thinking, God, life is hard. I've got challenge after challenge after challenge. Why me? You're going to keep attracting that same energy. But when we sit back and we say, if you're having a negative thought or a negative experience or lack of abundance, whatever it is, if we remember that the things we say and think create our reality, then immediately change that thought or those words into something positive, something you want in your life. And that can be challenging sometimes. I get it. Been there, been there. I'm still there sometimes. When you're in a moment, you're like, how can I be positive right now? It's a challenge. But having awareness around it really starts to make it a bit easier. Hi, Stacy. Do the calculations in your name chart have any impact or how you experience any given year? My numerological year is 6. Does that 6 get impacted by the numbers in my name? That's a great question. And the answer is actually no. It doesn't impact your chart. But for example, if you're in the 6th year, and so we do have like age transits and year transits and soul attitudes and all that. But if you're in a 6th year, the 6 is all about co-creation. It's creativity. It's very much about this is the time to get focused. This is the time to leave procrastination in the dust and really figure out, what do you want to create? What do you want to bring in? The 6 is also very much a beautiful business energy and money attracting energy, right? So really sit into creating. I would also encourage you to get creative during this time. Draw, paint, color. That will really help if you're feeling any of that 6 stuckness in your life. So I hope that helps. And then, which then, if you're in a 6 year now, you're actually going into a 7 year next year for you, which the 7 is very, the 7 year for you will be lots of healing. It will be very magnetic. It'll be, if you do the work, about you stepping into the authenticity and magnetizing and putting yourself out there and being involved with groups of people. Very much life of the party kind of energy. So I hope that answers your question, Stacy. Raquel, you're saying even if it's in spiritual goals, can you just let me know to which energy? Actually, no, let me answer that for you right now, Raquel. Regardless of where a frequency is in your chart, you're gonna feel possible to feel the challenge aspect and the aspect at any moment. It really is about where you're at in your healing journey. So even if you have it in a goal aspect, the goal is kind of like what you want to achieve, right? It's the thing that gets you out of bed every morning, right? So maybe that 4 could be a little bit of a challenge for you, that 4 frequency, but having that faith, having that trust that you will always be provided for, that you'll always be guided, that you'll always receive all those things, and just knowing that no matter what happens, everything will be okay, because it will. Having that faith and trust will really help you unlock that challenge of that 4 frequency. Kim, I probably asked during my reading, but how much impact do name changes have as a woman when we marry, especially since our name are chosen by us before we come into this world? Beautiful question, Kim. And so I talked about this a little bit before. It's really important to make sure you understand what you're doing when you're making a name change. Have somebody look at the frequencies you're bringing in, because you're piling more energies on top of existing energy. And sometimes you can have some kind of clashes, some kind of challenge within the frequencies that makes life a little bit more challenging or harder. And what we want to do is always look to see what are we bringing in, so that we can avoid that if possible. Um, Nadine, what if you feel a specific energy a lot, but it's nowhere in your chart? How else can frequency show up at all, if at all? Great question. So very often, like, so somebody who's in the work, right? When I hear people talking, I will see or feel like that energy will just come to me. And so when I pull up their chart, I look at many things. I don't just look at the 7 frequencies, the 7 main frequencies that show up. I will also look at each individual letter of your name. I will look at your first name. I will break it all down, because we don't just have one chart and then that defines our whole life. That would be insane. That would keep you in this box and you would be limited, and you would not be able to do anything outside of that. We have many charts. We even have phonetic charts. There's a lot to go through, and you will notice these general themes. So, for example, I have had that experience where somebody kept saying, this is a quality that I carry. And in my mind, I'm like, but I don't see that frequency anywhere. And that's when I had to go into the individual first name and look at all the letters. And that's when I realized that is just as important as your full name on your birth certificate. So always understanding the energies of your first name, because when you introduce yourself, for the most part, you just say, hi, I'm Yana. I rarely say, hi, I'm Yana Amor Manogas. I just say, hi, I'm Yana. And Yana is the name that I use most frequently. So that will be very powerful and important. And so I will always look at that. And so in that situation, once I pulled up that first name and maybe it was a middle name, last name, I can't remember. I found that beautiful frequency and it was all over her chart. So it is always there. If it's coming out of your mouth and you're experiencing it, that specific energy that is tied to that experience or that thought is absolutely somewhere in a chart. Stacy, do you have a book you can recommend for those of us that want to know more? A book specific to soul contracts? Is that your question, Stacy? If you could just clarify. Raquel, would you be able to answer that in a reading? The name changed because I kept my ex-husband's last name because of my children. Yes. So that is relationship reading. It's like an overlay. And what we do is we look at every single name that shows up and we look to see, is there a challenge? Is there a conflict? But I want to say this too. Many times when there is a new name that comes in, there's a lot of beauty in it. And so it can very often help the existing energies of your chart. So don't feel like changing your name is going to create challenge, but changing your name could be really beautiful as well. It's just a matter of having somebody who understands this work to look at it and being able to make an educated decision on what is best for you. Always know that the decision always comes back to you. Okay. Um, Hi, Janelle. I have a question. Oh, yes. I have a question about changing your last name for marriage. Is it safe to do so? Yeah. So that's what we're talking about right now. um, just have somebody look at it to really see what you're getting. Stacy, yeah. So for example, I don't have it here with me, but your soul contract decoded is actually written by the teacher that I did this training with. There's also soul plan, which gives another beautiful perspective of each frequency, and there's a few more, and you know what, I'll add them in the comments later, and feel free to look at them, and also always feel free to ask me questions like you are right now. Okay, let's see. Kim, do those energies go away when we drop the names used as we grow up? And what would I book if I wanted guidance for a business optimization name? Okay, beautiful. So, do these energies go away when we drop names when we grow up? Yes. So, look, if you're here's what I want to say. I want to use me as the example because I've had a million names because my birth name was never ever used. Yes, some energies will drop as you stop using the name. But if you legally are, I'm going to use me, Yana Amor Manogas. Okay, let's say I'm legally Yana Amor Manogas. But every day now I go by Yana Rose Manogas. Yana Amor Manogas still exists because it's in all the legal documents. I still have to use it. So unless you fully drop a name and it doesn't exist anywhere, meaning it's never ever used, then yes, those energies will go away. Um, okay, for business optimization, yes, there is a reading for that on my website as well. And so the business energies are also super important, you guys. There are energies that will make you go in circles. There are energies that will bring hardships. So it's really important to also understand the name of your business is just as important as your own personal name. And so you can also find that on my website as well, highersoulcontracts.com. The links are also below. Stacy. Yeah, so all both of those books that I just shared, Stacy, are for soul contracts. Nadine, when you do a name change, how quick can you notice the new frequencies? Oh, great question. Okay, so let me answer the first part. So when you change your name, it is said that within, and this is personal experience as well, when you change your name, within the first 3 to 6 months, you're going to feel the effects of this frequency, but you're going to feel the challenge aspect of the frequency because now it's coming in and it's kind of shifting things. And then after that dust settles, you're going to get the rewarding aspects of each frequency. So at first, you're going to notice differences. For me, for example, when I got married and I took on my husband's name, I had never looked at the chart. And so A year or 2 later, I pulled it up finally. And this was before I, because I didn't know the soul contract worked. So then I finally pulled it up and I saw my life play out within those first 3 months. I saw it play out in those frequencies with the entire challenge aspect of each frequency on there. And so it is very real. It absolutely affects you. And that's why it's so important for you to have the right guidance to make the proper change. Okay. Now, your second question, Nadine, is are you guaranteed to experience all aspects of the number? No, you're not going to experience all the good, the negative, or even the neutral. So, if you're working on yourself, if you are evolving and healing and doing the work, you are going to feel the beautiful aspects of each frequency. But if you are changing your name and now you're bringing a new frequency that you've never experienced before, you are going to feel that challenge aspect because you're also kind of learning how to navigate through it, because some of them come with self-worth issues, disempowerment, foolish decisions. It's very different. Isolation, all those things. And you are going to feel probably a decent amount of those aspects, good and bad. But ultimately, you will feel the beauty of each frequency. So this is not to deter or it's not to make light of changing a name. And like, who would have thought if you had asked me 10 years ago about the importance of my name, I would have said, okay, yeah, I love my name, and I would have moved on. I never would have really understood the importance because I didn't really understand the importance of sound frequency and everything it entails. So there's that information. Um, yeah. Okay, let's see. Here's some more questions. As we ascend, do we start to remember more about our past lives? Is that a kind of advanced inner child work? I think what happens is, so that inner child is that 7 frequency. So again, I hear inner child and in my mind, I'm like, there's got to be a 7 frequency in this person's chart. And so that inner child wants to be healed. Now, as far as um remembering other lifetimes, it's interesting because what I have seen a lot with people who have this 22-4 frequency is I see a lot of them who actually even remember their birth, who meet people and they're like, I've met you before, who, when they meditate, they really go out and they just collect and they journey and they get all this information from different lifetimes. So I think it's just depending on the frequencies and the axis which you have multi-dimensionally, if that makes sense. Okay, if you already have certain numbers in your birth chart and the name change increases those existing numbers, will it get easier then? A lot more sixes on top of current sixes. So, okay, you don't want to put the same frequency on top of the same frequency because you're creating this clash and you're going to make it a bit more challenging. Now, let's say, if you have a 6-6 physical karma, and you optimize your name, you'd want a 6 in a talent position to help that challenge aspect quicker. You would not want to repeat the numbers, no 99 and then more 99 on top of that. That's just too much. So you do want to make sure and play with the numbers or the spelling of a name to make sure you're getting the right combination numbers in your chart. But also before that, for anybody who's seeking a name change, the important thing to remember is, what is it that you want to bring in? Do you want to bring more love into your life, more power, more focus, more grounding, whatever it is? It's really important to do the work. It should not be as simple as, let me just get on a reading and then just see what flows right. First, think about, what do you want to bring in your life? And then as we pull up the name, as we maybe tweak a spelling or something, we get the energies that you want, that is desired for you, that could bring you the best possible outcome. So, there's a lot that goes into it. And it should be something that's really thought about. It shouldn't be something that's very easy to just decide and I'm going to take it and without really digging into it. And then also, here's what I want to say, nicknames. No one really talks about nicknames much, but I want you to think about, I'll give an example. Nick versus Nicholas. One definitely sounds more powerful and more full. Or if your name is Nicholas and people call you, oh my God, what's a nickname? Um, what's a good nickname? People call you, oh my gosh, why can't I think of someone give me a nickname? Um, Someone calls you Scooby. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. What you're doing is you're not stepping into the full power of your name. And if you're called Nick and you don't go by Nicholas, you're not stepping into that full power. That's why I always encourage people. If you have a beautiful full name, step into that. Step into all the energies, all the frequencies, everything that you brought in. Step into the power of that. So it's really important even when somebody misspells your name or mispronounces your name, it's very important to stand up and say, no, it's actually Yana. And believe me, I've gotten that a lot in my life. I get Yanni all the time, or Yana, or whatever. And there was times earlier in my life where I would just let it go and move on. And sometimes a person would repeat it and I would still just be like, whatever. And now I'm like, no, it's Yana. Stand into the power and be proud of what your name is. It creates your life. I mean, how beautiful is that? Um, What could it mean if someone has one frequency repeating a lot? So, is that common? Does it matter? So, we got this question, and it's a great question. And so, when you have a repeating energy, remember everybody, that is your dominant vibration when you have four or more of the same frequency. And that just means that it is a more amplified experience of that energy. It really is a point of focus and something that your soul really wants you to work on, right? So pay attention to that if it is a dominant vibration, and really do the work. So you guys, if there are any other questions, I just want to say this. I appreciate you all so much. Oh, Kim, time to start calling him Jason. Here's what I want to say. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. This is such a passion project for me, and I absolutely love it. And I want to thank everybody who supports Your Soul Wisdom podcast. We've gotten such beautiful response from that. Thank you for everyone who follows along to Let's Talk Vibes, the Soul Contract podcast. The link, both of those links are below in the description. If you're looking forward to book a reading or you have any questions at all, again, link is below. If you want to say hello, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe the content. It is the best way to support me. And you guys, I just appreciate you so much. Kim, that would feel weird strange after 59 years. I get it. Just make sure that he calls himself Jason, okay? Stand in his power. Really love and treasure and value who you are, and this goes to everybody. We have days where we are down on ourselves and we're deep in the thick of challenge, and that's okay. Just always do your best to at least fill your cup half full. Have joy, have gratitude, have faith, have trust, all these beautiful things, because this is a very abundant universe. And there is no reason why any of us can't have all the abundance that we want. So don't limit yourself. Always dream big. Always go for all of it. Okay. You guys, I appreciate you so much. Have a beautiful, blessed day. 410 ones. Oh my goodness. Very, very intense, Kim. Okay. I appreciate you guys. Have a beautiful day. We'll talk soon. Okay. See you next month. Bye.